Hey y'all, I'm going to South by. Anybody need anything?
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the live coronavirus outbreak capital of the world, Austin, Texas, it's the Damn Tonight Show, featuring tonight's guest, musician, filmmaker, and recently signed to Last Gang Records, Mobley. And now, here's your host, the idiot who's doing this every night for a month, Colin McDonald.
Play ball, 1, 2, 3, go, 3, 2, 1, blast off, Chris on the boat, cut the ribbon, pull back the veil. This is our feature presentation. Your update was successful. Hibernation is over. Spring has sprung. The you-know-what has hit the fan. It's on like Donkey Kong. It's go time. Start your engines. Press any key to begin. We are locked and loaded for bear. The seed has taken root. The water is broken. The timer is dinged. The teapot is whistling. And the fat lady is on break till Christmas. It's March in Texas, and the preseason is over. It's time for the real season to begin. Welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. Today is March 2nd, and let's look at some headlines. Now, first up is the biggest headline in the world, the coronavirus.
But we're learning the coronavirus is now affecting Austin's biggest festival, South by Southwest.
So it is not a question of if, but when.
Austin Convention Center says it's adding more hand sanitizers and hand cleaning stations. And they'll clean restrooms, escalators, and door handles more often.
Twitter's banning all non-critical travel because of the coronavirus. According to MarketWatch, that means the social media giant's CEO Jack Dorsey will no longer be coming to speak at South by Southwest.
They've had some festival attendees from China cancel their plans, but that won't affect the festival as a whole.
So do you have an extra $2,000 but don't want to travel all the way to China to get sick? South by Southwest might be for you. Come see the world's most famous music stars contract the world's most viral virus. There won't be any moms complaining about the way the performers are dressed this year. Ever wonder what Lizzo sounds like through 3 layers of plastic?
Here's what's at stake for an event like South by Southwest and the city of Austin. Numbers from organizers show a bump for local businesses. Last year, economists determined South by resulted in more than $350 million worth of an economic impact. More than $180 million of it was directly tied to paid attendance by badge holders. For the festival, more than 12,000 individual hotel rooms were booked.
Seriously, do you really think they're going to give up all that money? We'll see complimentary hazmat suits under each airplane seat sponsored by the city itself before they cancel the cash cow that is South by Southwest. Which brings us to our top 12 reasons to avoid South by. Number 12, S. Number 11, U. Number 10, R. Number 9, I. Number 8, V. Number 7, A. Number 6, N. Number 5, O. Number 4, R. Number 3, O. Number 2, C. And the number 1 reason for the 10th year in a row to avoid South by, parking. And that brings us to our main story today, the overall state of the union, taking stock of the Austin music scene. Now, by some estimates, the city of Austin is home to as many as 8,000 musicians, which seems like a big number until you consider that the metro population is 2 million. And that means as musicians, we make up around 0.4% of the population. Yet, we have city representation and active policies and initiatives on our behalf. Think about that. That's kind of insane. And if you include venues, of which there are more than 250 according to austintexas.org, assuming that each venue employs an average of 10 employees, that's only another 2,500 or 0.1% more. That's an incredibly small community and industry in such a big city. To give you some context on that, over 13,000 people work for the city. Keller Williams employs 3,000, and there are roughly 2,255 homeless people between you and I right now. Now, we have 150 music-focused nonprofits ranging from healthcare to housing assistance and also from cool stuff like Kids in a New Groove to self-serving political pundits. We have more than one local radio station that plays local music. Our local news stations regularly cover music news and host live performances, and hundreds of other people who produce media around Austin, music and photos, blogs, vlogs, lists, and so much more. Not to mention the many groups who are producing high-quality live performance footage. We have 1 million places to list shows, from Showlist Austin to The Chronicle to Do 512, who's playing tonight, and we have a festival every 6 hours, it seems, generating millions of dollars in economic impact. And we have a state music office and the Austin Music Commission. Not to mention real taxpayer city money on the table for commercial live music, whatever that means. Now here's the math on that. If there are 8,000 musicians and we each get a cut of $3.15 million, we each get $393.75. In contrast to that, there are roughly 2,255 homeless people in Austin, and the October City of Austin budget allocated $62.7 million to homelessness. That's about $27,804 per person. Austin is consistently on every good internet list and has largely been absent from the real estate fluctuations that plague many other cities. Sure, we have our issues, but the city is growing for a reason. There are more musicians here than ever. Not to mention, we have at least 10 bands with over 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and musicians are making a living here. And there might be more of us than you think. Some sign major deals, some go indie, and yet some still find their niche and live on that sweet, sweet mailbox money. Some score films and some own recording studios. Some work every day as a hired gun, while others are leading their teams into the great unknown of our current climate. But most do as many of these things as we can and so much more. We are lucky to live in this city with so much incredible opportunity. How are you capitalizing in the live music capital? You hear people say all the time that the music industry is the Wild West now. Let's be on the frontier and wash your hands and read those contracts. You don't want to die of dysentery or coronavirus. We'll be back with Mobley right after this message. Austin Music Television on Channel 16 is made possible by Support Austin Music. Support Austin Music is a cooperative of Austin-based musicians and their supporters creating compilations of music videos for airing on Austin Public Channel 16. The music videos are compiled into hour-long episodes and are aired weekly. Check your cable provider for the specific channel, and Austin Public Access Channel 16 live feed is available on the website for those of you who are unable to get it on your television. Support Austin Music Television. Support Austin Music. Welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I am so happy to be sitting here with Mobley, an absolutely prolific artist. Now, for the people that may not know who you are and what you do, kind of give me the quick little rundown.
I'm a musician. I'm a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, producer, and I live here in Austin, Texas, and I've been here about 10 years.
10 years in Austin. A lot's happened in the last decade for you. Kind of take me, like, once you got to Austin till now, like the last decade.
Sure. Well, I had a band for a while, like the first 5 or 6 years of that. And, you know, we did the grind, and eventually the life stuff that happens to bands happened. Right. People got married, people went to college, got different jobs, and ultimately through a variety of circumstances, I ended up being the last one standing. And but it had always been my songs, and I had always been the main one doing the recording, so it wasn't too big of a change on that front. Right. But it did necessitate coming up with a new live show, right, which I did. And honestly, from the time that I would say from the time that I came up with that show, which is me alone on stage, jumping around to a bunch of instruments, and also, you know, with the whole multimedia light component, all that, right, the kind of one-man extravaganza. Yeah. Basically, as soon as I started doing that, like the trajectory of my career went like that. Right. Like yeah. It was just a sharp change. It was obvious overnight that something was dramatically different. People were reacting to the show differently, even though it was largely the same songs. Right. I think it just allowed people to understand what I was doing in a clearer and better way. And then obviously there's the financial aspect of there only being one person, you know. I really love having a band, and hopefully we'll get to have one again in the future. But for now, this has been literally life-changing. Right.
Watching your show, because I felt the same, that like the engagement in a one-man show is not like that usually, you know.
Right.
Everybody is right there, and it's partly the multimedia and the light show. I mean, you make a freaking spectacle of the show.
Yeah.
But watching you go from instrument to instrument, by like the third song, you start to realize that's all him. It engages them in the story of who you are.
Yeah.
In a different way than could ever be accomplished with a band.
Totally.
Like I love that aspect of your show, because you're in, and I talk about it all the time, like you're putting on a show, you're putting on entertainment.
Right.
The music is good, but like the entertainment has to be good too.
Right. You know? Right. They're like different art forms. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're coexisting in that same space.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit, like, from your first time going out there by yourself to now, kind of what's been your perspective change? What have you learned kind of doing the one-man show?
Yeah, the first time was rough, for sure.
I can imagine.
I think I did okay because, obviously I had performed before, but I had never gone up and done it by myself, and I was really self-conscious about what I was doing. Sure. Like, it's not like there are a lot of people I can look to and be like, okay, this is how you do it.
Right.
And I think that my self-consciousness hampered the show early on, but thankfully, the whole reason I had to pull it together was because I had a 2-month tour booked already. Nice. And my drummer got hurt and couldn't make it. So it was like, well, I have to figure something out. And that was a really good trial by fire.
Yeah.
And, by the end of that, it was just like, it was just relearning the same lessons I had learned earlier about being a performer. It's like, they want you to believe it. They want you to win. They didn't come to see you bomb. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so now that's completely solidified, and I just go in and it's like all these people want to see me do some cool stuff.
And do it well.
Yeah. Like that's what I think there's an essay by Kim Gordon where she says a bunch of things, but one of the things she says is people come to a show to see people believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really true. And I think And I think as long as you've done the work to prepare, because that you can't skip that.
No. And people can tell real quick.
Right. Yeah. Right. As long as you've done the work to prepare, and I put a lot of my work onto the stage, so it's obvious, Yeah. Then I think people just want to see you own it, and then cheer for that.
Right.
And so I think that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Now we're gonna have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Mobley after this message. Austin Uncharted is a live studio performance series featuring Austin bands and musicians recorded and filmed at King Electric Recording Studio. Featuring artists like Trouble in the Streets, Aubrey Hayes, Lowen, Jake Lloyd, and so many more. Watch a session and check it out. New bands every 3 weeks, Thursday at midnight, and you can follow their page and be the first to see what's coming up next. All right, and we're back sitting here with Mobley, and now I want to ask you about, you just signed to Last Gang Records, and it's crazy to me that, when we were growing up, it was the signing with a label and getting a deal was the only way to go. And then it turned into, you shouldn't sign a label because we can do it all ourselves. And now we're back to, yes, you can sign a label, but it has to check all these boxes. So kind of tell me more about the decision to sign to Last Gang Records.
Yeah. So, we meaning the kind of team that helps me run things had, we'd had lots of conversations with lots of different labels over the years, and for one reason or another, nothing ever worked out exactly right or felt exactly right. And yeah, there's definitely in the industry among indie people, I would say, there's a conventional wisdom that that labels aren't to be trusted, and that because of the democratization of the means of production, you don't need a label per se. I never fully bought in on that, to be honest. A lot of the people that I saw being pointed to as, look what this person did without a label, it was like, okay, but this other thing that they had is basically their label. Like their rich parents are their label, or the record contract they had in the 90s that garnered them their fan base, that's their label. Right. Or
and what's the difference between a distribution deal?
Sure, right. Exactly. And I think there's definitely something to the whole democratization thing. I think there are people who have access to this stuff who didn't have it before, and I think that's a great and beautiful thing. 100% honestly. But the thing about the music industry, like most industries, is it's all about relationships, and it's damn near impossible to make engaging, artful music, craft a good stage show, maintain, your persona on stage, on social media, and all that stuff, and have the kind of relationships that you need to have with, YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and every single venue you want to play, and with the radio people. Like there's just too many people. You can't have all those relationships.
And when you say relationships with like YouTube and Spot, like those are people.
Yeah, people,
know?
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
So
Deborah at the desk, in New York at YouTube.
Right.
And, thankfully I have formed some relationships with people on my management team, and we have people who are, we have an agent and now a label and people working radio who, Deborah at YouTube is my friend. I went to her wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you, random kid in Poughkeepsie, you can't beat that. Like you actually can't beat that. That doesn't mean that sometimes fluky stuff doesn't happen, of course. But I think there's this comfortable myth, really a comfortable lie that we like to believe that this is all somehow meritocracy, and as long as you're good enough, it'll work out for you. That's just not true. It's just not true. That's not the way any of this stuff works.
It never has worked.
Ever. It's all, there's so much randomness, there's so much luck and chance involved, and unfortunately, a lot of it is just knowing the right people and having the right people advocate for you in the right rooms. Like if you don't have somebody in the room when the decision gets made, you're not part of the decision. Yeah. And so for me, it's always been fundamentally about relationships, both in the kind of opportunistic networking, who do my people know way, but also in the, at the end of the day, that's all you have is relationships with other people. Like money, any success you have, all that stuff, it's all, unless you're just a completely hollow and empty person, it's all about facilitating the kinds of relationships you can have with other people anyway. Right. So that's a long way of saying we finally connected with a label, Last Gang Records, who I really connected with on a personal level and felt like I really liked their catalog. A lot of the records they put out are some of my favorite records of all time. Right. And then I felt like I connected with them as people and felt like I could trust them to help put my music out. Right. And also felt like I could trust that they could get my name said in the right room at the right time. This is the part of the industry that nobody likes to talk about, but this is the part that I wish somebody had talked to me about, when I was first starting out, because it's like, don't feed me the myths. Like I didn't get into music to be in the music business. I just like making music. Yep. You know what I mean? So like, talk to me about the reality of the business, and then what's the shortest distance between point A and point B?
And what are some of the questions you would have asked yourself in this position that we haven't covered? Yeah, I mean, because that's the most interesting thing to me. Is that exact thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I have now is the thing that I've always wanted, and the thing that I want now is just, how do I make this keep going?
Yeah, how do you make it last?
Right. Yep. So I think the best way to distill it is the number one thing that I didn't know that I was doing right then, that led me to where I am now, is really, really investing in my live show. And I don't mean that from necessarily a money standpoint, although I think that's perfectly good advice too. Yeah. But just really investing myself in making connections with people on a deep human level when I'm on stage. Because it's really hard to get people to go watch a video on YouTube. It's really hard to get people to go stream a track or download it or whatever. But when you're at a show, they're already there. Yeah. You already have them. And then the question is, what do you do with them in that moment? And I honestly believe if you're doing something that you believe in and that is real, like, you're not that special, you're not that weird, there are going to be lots of other people who like the things that you like. Yeah. And so just figuring out how to connect with them. I know this sounds like a platitude, but it's really not. Just really thinking about what is it about this thing that I am investing all this time and energy in? What is it about this that excites me on a human level? And how can I figure out how to communicate that to other people and excite them about it? And if you do that, and you do that in those rooms, in those moments when you actually have people's attention, and then, you know, afterward you solidify those connections by being a genuine, decent human being to those people. Yep. I really think people want to help you. Like, people will want to help you. They know you need help. It's obvious. You're an independent musician. You need help.
Right.
And so many people over the years have approached me, and that's probably the biggest X factor in making any of this happen. So many people have approached me and been like, what can I do to help? What can I do to help you? What do you need? Mm-hmm. And without all those people doing even tiny things, making introductions, like, I don't think any of this could have happened. And I don't think those people would have reached out in that way if they didn't feel like we had made some kind of real connection in those times. And, you know, there's lots of other stuff, business stuff, all that, but that stuff is kind of rote.
One of the things that interests me, like when people come up to you and say, I want to help you, or how can I help you? I'll do anything. You have to have an answer. Totally. For them. Awesome. Yeah. And you got a new single out. Talk about that and kind of what's coming up next for you.
Yeah. So I just put out the first single from my new record. The single is called Nobody's Favorite. And there's a song and a video out that people should check out. It's the first single off my record, which is called Young and Dying and the Occident Supreme. Okay. And
thanks for the vocabulary lesson. I had to look it up.
And alongside the record, there's going to be a film. And so the first video is part one of the larger film. And probably in March, I'll be putting out the second single and part two of the film. So people should keep an eye out for that. And then you can catch me at South by. As of this taping, I don't exactly know where and when I'll be, but I'll be all over the place. So right. You can check it out at mobleywho.com. All the shows will be up there.
All right, Mobley, man, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Be sure to check out Mobley on all the social media sites and mobleywho.com. We'll be right back after these quick messages. The CobraCast podcast with Bobby Sharon is a must-listen in the Austin music community. With over 280 episodes so far, you can tune in to hear Austin musicians and the like share their stories and their music every Monday and Thursday live at 7:30. Check this one out anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as Facebook and YouTube Live. Hello and welcome to Daily Austin Music. My name is Colin McDonald. This is Damn Art, Daily Austin Music album review time, made possible by Spotify. Today we're checking out the newest release from eBurner, Elemental. This is a 5-song EP and starts off with the song Cave Diving. After a nice melodic and atmospheric intro, the song goes into kind of an instrumental electro-Latin groove. There are plenty of hidden Easter eggs in this track, and I especially like the bass line change about halfway through this tune. I love instrumental beats, and this one is a great listen. This track really evolves and escapes the trap of most beats fall into, sounding very similar throughout and only being about 2 minutes long. Elemental is the shortest track on the record at 3:07. The next track, Autumn Fire, has a solid 4-on-the-floor beat and a lot of nice samples throughout the track, giving it a distinctive vibe. The third track, Ebb and Flow, starts off with a catchy drum groove and some electric piano chords, giving it a chill hop vibe from the start. The vocals on this one are great and go with the track exceptionally well. I really dug this one, and it's one of the standout tracks. I really like the hook riff, a little walk down number that kind of sticks with you. The fourth track, For One Night, starts off with some nice chords and a really cool kick pattern, and that evolves into a nice chill track. I really like the use of samples in this EP, and the arrangements are well thought out and evolve nicely. On the last track, Quantum Jump, you can really hear the unique chord structures and melody choices that make eBurner an interesting listen. This song employs all the tricks from this EP in a catchy instrumental number with plenty of catchy melodies to hum along to. Overall, I really enjoyed this EP from eBurner. I'm looking forward to the next release. Be sure to buy, share, and stream this music wherever you can. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the Damn Tonight Show weekdays at 5. I'll see you tomorrow morning for Who's Playing Tonight. Daily Austin Music is just a thing I'm doing on the side. There is no team or money or special interest behind it. I love music. I love this city. Both have been very, very kind to me. I feel a responsibility to do this, not knowing fully what it is or what it will become. So here's to every day doing more, better, faster together. Now, if you disagree with anything I say, please comment down below. I would love to talk to you. Remember, it's just the internet. Don't take it too seriously. I'll see you tomorrow.